Welcome, everybody, to the Core Truth. Today, I've got Trey Alligood with me. Trey, just rock star agent in the Douglas Elliman Beverly Hills office. So excited to have you, Trey. Welcome to the Core Truth.
Thank you, Peter. Nice to be with you.
It is really great. It's so funny. I know we were talking before we went live about you being on Broadway before being in real estate. What was Broadway like? That's a big goal of my daughter. She would give her eye teeth to be on Broadway. She's actually at USC's Master of Fine Arts for acting, and I probably go to at least 3 plays or musicals a month because of my girls, my wife and my daughter. I mean, they are addicts, and so I get dragged along. What was it like being on Broadway? Was it just amazing?
You know, it was incredible. It was one of those moments where I was so young. It was back when I was between 18 and 23. But I was so young, and you don't really realize how major that is until you get a little older and you're like, oh, wow, I was actually on Broadway. But it is a crazy feeling. It was a amazing feeling every night you step on stage. You turned it on and you were on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people every year. So it was incredible.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I think it plays well into the whole concept of being successful in real estate, because you go on stage, and what do shows typically run? How long do they run typically?
2 hours, 2 hours and 30 minutes, depending on how long.
Correct. And then how long, like a month, 2 months, 6 months, years? I mean, some I guess can go on forever, but like typically what, a few years?
Yeah, I mean, some go on for forever, but most of them, I would say, a year to 4 years, something like that, depending on how popular they are. And then sometimes they come back and go on tour and all those kind of things.
And the original cast, what would you say that lifespan is for the original cast typically?
I would say, it depends on how the show is, but I would say maybe the same kind of thing, like a year, 2 years, and they kind of move on and they get replaced by somebody else and they do a bigger show.
All right. So a year, 2 years, each individual show is about 2 hours of performance, maybe a little more, 2 to 3 hours, right? And you do it how many times a day? Typically,
you usually do it once a day, or usually in the evening, and then you have matinees on maybe Wednesday or Sunday, something like that. So you'll do 2 shows those days.
Okay, all right. And so 7 days a week typically?
Usually 6 days a week, and then when you're on tour, you're usually traveling one of those days or 2 of those days, depending on how far you have to go. But yeah, usually 6 to 7, and then depending on if you have a swing or not, you might get 2 or 3 shows off that week, depending on your role in the show.
Okay, all right. So I'm with you. So here you are. You've got this group, and I'm assuming that even though you've done it zillions of times, you probably still once in a while rehearse or go over issues, probably think about the shows because or does it become so automatic because you guys are so good at it, or do you sometimes rehearse and revisit and things like that?
Yeah, I think that you always have to rehearse and revisit. I mean, there's always going to be things coming in and out. There's also new actors and actresses and dancers and things like that, musicians that come in and out of the show. They have to leave, they get replaced. You have to kind of, rehearse with them and get them up to speed on the show and make sure everybody's comfortable when they pop in and out. So there's a lot of rehearsal, but there is a lot of muscle memory. There's a lot of things that, you do over and over and over, and you're very good at, and you nail those skills. So then basically, when push comes to shove, that you're going to nail it every time you walk out on that stage.
Yeah. So I think so where I'm going with this, Trey, I think you see where I'm heading is that, the level of practice and experience, as well as professionalism, things happening during the show, like during a presentation in real estate that can throw you off. You could forget a line, so you got to adapt quickly. Can't let the audience know you screwed up. You know what I mean? So all of these things, I think translate really, really well into the real estate world.
Agreed.
And I think, go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things that real estate agents don't understand is that this is a performance art you are performing constantly from the moment you pick up the phone and have that first phone call with someone till the moment you close the transaction, or you keep going. I mean, you have that relationship always, and they're always expecting you to be on for everything. And if you're not on, then you're off, and somebody else is probably going to take the job. So I think that if we could just approach things more of like, you're stepping on stage every time you're in front of that client, and every time you're not in front of that client, there could be somebody in the room that knows that client, so you're still on stage. So it's a constant mindset of you have to always be on.
It is a performance art. And as part of the performance art, there's actually auditions where you have to audition before clients, right, to win the part.
Of course.
Yeah. How do you prepare for those auditions?
Oh gosh, it really depends on the client.
How do you prepare for a listing presentation? I guess I'm asking. How do you prepare for a buyer consultation?
Obviously it depends on the client, but I would say that I like to be the most as prepared as I possibly can, depending on, where the house is, the location, the pedigree of the architecture, the client itself. So, I like to do a full picture of who this person is, where they're at, what they're looking to do. And then, I don't like to come in with all these materials and, here's this book and this listing presentation and sit down and have like a big, presentation moment. I personally like to, when I first meet someone or I go into a listing appointment, to have it a little bit more casual. So they're a little bit more relaxed. It's not so, here's what we do, and here's my presentation, and here's this, and here's that, and da 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 da. It's like more of, I want to get to know them and understand why they're having a conversation with me about either selling or buying or whatever it is, investing. And then I can kind of, form the conversation around, form the meeting around kind of exactly what they are looking for, because it's just, the market that we live in and we work in, we're very fortunate, but there's just a lot of, I think there's just there's such a vast array of clients that you can't approach them all the same way. I can't walk in with a book and be like, oh, I'm Trey from Douglas Elliman, and here's what I do, and here's my listing presentation. It just doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Is there any research you do before going? Do you look up the client a certain way or research the property in a certain way to at least have a little bit of knowledge walking into the appointment?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I definitely do like a deep dive on Google and ChatGPT on who they are, where they're from. I, look on social media and see if I could see anything else from them that would help out with the, not help out, but just get to know the client a little bit more. So when I do walk in, I kind of know what I'm walking into. But, I think that it really just depends. The things that you find online are obviously not always, I think that a lot of times people's persona that they have online is very different from what you run into when you meet them in person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like auditioning for a part in a Broadway play or musical, auditioning for a listing is equally kind of scary and important at the same time. And I think that, walking into the audition, I mean, do you do anything like to prep yourself mentally, emotionally? I mean, is there any tricks you learned, as an actor that you can apply into real estate? Like Tony Robbins says, hit yourself in the chest, and get into state, or, are there any things like that you do, or is it just trying to be what?
I think what I try to do is be as calm and as confident as possible walking in, that's for sure. And understanding that when I walk into this meeting, it's not like I could take it or I could leave it, right? It's not like, oh my God, I have to have this listing. If I don't get this listing, I'm not going to be able to eat tomorrow. And I think approaching it like that for me makes me feel more calm. I also understand that every client that I meet is not going to be a client for me. It's just maybe it might not work out, because I know that meeting this person for the first time, that we're just not going to mesh. And what they want is not what I'm able to provide. And I would much rather pass on that listing or pass on that client than put myself through the torture of representing them in any way. So I think just being able to walk in and be like, you know what, I could take it or leave it. I know it's going to go well. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That is so powerful, Trey. I mean, that is literally the definition of the art of detachment. When you're not detached from the result and you can walk in like whatever way it goes is fine with me, you have so much power. Where'd you learn that?
Where did I learn that? I mean, I think once you do this so many times, you kind of just, I mean, maybe you don't, but for me, I just kind of figured it out after so many listing appointments I went into. And now that I've been in the business for a while, and you have had those nightmare clients where you're like, oh, damn, I should have known as soon as I walked in and I had that conversation. I knew this was not going to go well, and I took the listing anyway, and I shouldn't have taken it. And now I'm miserable. So I think just going through those motions and going through those meetings so many times, you start to learn, hey, here's a red flag. Hey, this client is not for you. This is a great client. This one's not. This one's going to take all of your energy, and it's going to be energy vampire, and you're going to be miserable, and you're going to have to make that phone call every Sunday after the open house telling them nobody came because they wanted to price the property too high. And, all the things that you're going to have to endure taking on that client. So yeah, I've just kind of been able to.
That's beautiful.
Weed those out.
Will you go by the name of the Alligood Real Estate Group? So you have a team, is that right?
I do.
Talk to us about it. Like, what does your team look like in terms of structure?
So I have a team of 6 agents right now, an assistant, as well as an assistant. And as far as structure goes, we have our meetings on Wednesday that are in-person meetings that we do every morning on Wednesday morning at 10. And then I also have a touch base with them on Monday mornings. Each one of them, they get 15 to 20 minutes of my time every Monday morning. And that's to kind of go through their week, what they're working on, what they need help on, any clients that I could help out, or any meetings that I could come to help them move their clients down the pipeline. And then any kind of coaching that they need, anything that I can potentially give them to help them, to help their career move forward. So that's kind of how we're structured as far as meeting times and those kind of things. And then, I provide them with an array of tools that they could use, from databases to different lead sources. And, it's up to them to really put in the work. They have all the tools at their fingertips, everything they could possibly need to be successful. But, they also have to put in the work and do the things that they need to do to be a successful real estate agent.
So when you're bringing team members on, Trey, what are you looking for in terms of team members? This is for all you out there that maybe are thinking about joining a team. What qualities are you looking for in an agent?
I would say first and foremost, integrity. I think, for me, integrity is huge, because when you come on to be a part of a team, you're not just representing, you're not a solo agent anymore. You are part of a team. So everything that you do reflects back on the team, and not just me personally, but the entire team. So if there's 6 of us and there's a bad apple and that person's going out doing their things, it's not going to come down back to that one person. It's coming back to the entire team. So integrity would be my first and foremost. And I believe a couple of different ones. The second one would be kindness and compassion. I think that is a very big component of successful real estate agents, is really being kind. It's the easiest thing that you could possibly do, and really look out for the client. And what would be the third one? The third one, I would say, work ethic and hustle. If you don't have that, it's just not going to work out for you, especially in this market in Los Angeles. You have to be a hustler. You have to be willing to do all the things that nobody else wants to do. So I think I would say those: integrity, kindness, and hustle.
Well, I think that's really important. The hustle part, I call it sometimes work ethic, but I think hustle is even a little bit more accurate because you can work hard on the wrong things, but when you're hustling and it's very, you're a hunter, you're looking for business. And I think that ties back really well to your art of detachment, because if you know you have enough stuff in the pipeline or that you're willing to get out there and hustle for new leads, you don't have to take toxic clients and bad deals and overpriced listings and work with buyers that are looking for the needle in the haystack. You can actually work with clients that are going to do deals right now and they want to work with you. So what are some of the things you coach your agents to do as far as the hustle?
I mean, I think first and foremost is the follow-up. This business, if you're not following up with clients, they're going to meet somebody else this weekend at the open house, and they're going to go find somebody else, or their friend's mom, sister is going to be the agent. So if you're not constantly in front of them and constantly following up with them, you're going to lose the client. It's just inevitable in this market that we live in. I think also, we have to understand that now buyers they already know everything. They have all the tools that you have, they have as well. And when you go to meet them, they already know everything about the house. They probably know more than you know about the house at this point, because they've researched it. They've been on Zillow all night long, going through everything they could possibly go through about the neighborhood, everything. So, I think that for my agents, I definitely coach them to be very knowledgeable of everything that, when they go to meet that client, be so knowledgeable of the neighborhood, know everything about it. Also know a couple of other listings that maybe are coming soon, or maybe that you have that are off market. Call other agents. Hey, what else is around this property that's not come to market yet? Do you have anything coming up? So then you have a little bit more leverage when you're meeting them. And it's not just, I'm meeting you to show you this one house. I also have a whole nother set of properties that I would love to show you that you're not going to find on Zillow or the MLS or any of those kind of things, because they're listings that only I have access to with my network.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, part of being, having a team is you have to be a leader, Trey. I mean, they're looking to you as a leader. What have you learned being a leader that you think would be traits you've either developed or would like to develop more of and be better at? What areas of leadership are you working on right now? And if you were guiding somebody on leadership, what were some of the things you would tell them?
Wow, leadership is tough. I think that it's kind of the same thing when you have clients, right? My team, I'm also a therapist. I'm dealing with all of their problems, and not only all of their problems, I'm dealing with all of their clients' problems as well. So, for me, I think I've learned to take a breath before I do anything, because there's so many things coming at me at once, and really sit down and take a minute before I react to anything, before I say anything, before I do anything. So I think for me, it's been more of that, instead of just reacting to everything so quickly, just taking a minute and focusing on, okay, here's what we're dealing with. How are we going to successfully solve whatever the problem is, or whatever needs to be done? How are we going to get that done efficiently and to the best of our ability? So I think just pausing for a second, because typically I'm just go. So I've really tried to do that, and it's definitely helping out. I would say also just, clarity and being more clear as possible with anything and everything that we do with our clients, and the team members as well. But as far as leadership goes, I mean, you have to, what does it say? As you do as you say, do as you say as you do, whatever that phrase is. And I have to, show up as a leader and show up as the person that they expect me to be. Which
Right.
is big shoes. A lot of times I wake up sometimes, I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I want to do my calendar, I'm like, oh shit. But I love it. I love my team. They're amazing. They work very hard. I love to watch them grow and succeed and give them opportunities. And it's just really exciting for me to be a part of that. I know what it will look like when I was, starting out as a new agent or didn't have help. And I know what that feeling feels like, especially when, you get your first deal, or you got, a deal that you don't know what to do, and you have a problem, and what are you going to do? Your client wants an answer now, and you have nobody to talk to, and nobody's helping. And what do you say? What do you do? They have me, and they know they have me, and I'm accessible to them 24/7. Whenever they want to call me, I'm available. I'll help them through anything.
That's really great, Trey, because I know for a fact, because I see so many teams, that adding team members doesn't necessarily make you more profitable as an agent. So there's got to be a community effect, a mentorship effect, a desire to maybe give it away a little bit, and help other people maybe achieve the success you've achieved, Trey. So there has to be things more than just pure profit for team leaders, or I don't think you're going to be effective as a leader. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, listen, it takes a very long time and a lot of your energy to run a team and build a team. And, you have to want to do that. It's not something, I could be a solo agent and have a much easier life, and, much more relaxed, but I enjoy that part. That's one of my favorite parts of this industry, is that I get to help them build their careers. I get to help them succeed. And that, to me, is almost more fun than being an agent and helping my clients and those kind of things. Is seeing them really succeed and helping them out and watching them grow and all of those cool things that I get to do with them. They're like a family, So I think that for me is one of the highlights of my career, is just being able to watch them grow. And a lot of them have been with me for a very, very long time, since I started. I mean, my original assistant when I started is still on my team.
Wow.
So,
that's loyalty. You must treat them right. Yeah. I mean, because I think a lot of people think that, when you're a leader, you can tell people, go there, do this, go that, do this, bring me this, that. And it's kind of the other way around. They're kind of saying, hey, will you help me with this? Will you do this for me? Can you show me how to do this? I mean, and so I think a lot of people think when they get into leadership, they can just sit back and give orders, when it's almost the other way around. In fact, the higher up the ladder you go, it seems, the more you become a servant.
Exactly. That's so true. And it's like, a lot of people think that they're going to start a team, and it's like their team it's like they have a team of assistants, and they're like, do this, do that, do the, kind of like you said. But, my team, it's a we. There's no I. We are a team. We help each other out. We are there when, and it's not just me helping them out. They help each other out as well. That's the culture of the team. Is, anytime that somebody goes out and they have the new client or whatever, I really encourage them, take somebody else with you on the team, whether it be me or whether it be somebody else. Take somebody else with you. That's why you're on a team, is to get help, and to be able to, leverage that part of the team and go, maybe, you're going to meet a client that you've never met before, and maybe you're a male and you need some female energy. Take one of the females from the team, or vice versa, because I think that's a huge part of the client seeing, oh, I don't just have one agent, I have two, or I have three. A lot of times I'll go, with two agents, and there'll be three of us on an appointment, and the client's like, oh, wait, who are all these people? What is this? And they feel like, oh, wow, I'm getting three agents, not just one agent. And it really helps solidify that client when they know that they have three versus one, or four, or six, or whatever that is.
So when we jumped on the call this morning, you sound pretty busy. Tell me what's going on. Like what's happening in your pipeline right now? How many deals in the pipeline? What's going on? What's the market like? Give me a little update. Did you say you had 6 deals? You had 6 deals you're opening up? What did you say? I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I have.
And for you, let me just frame this a little bit. For everybody that doesn't know Trey Alligood, Trey is one of the true rising stars in the LA market. He is meteoric in terms of how his career is going right now. I mean, we at Douglas Elliman are just watching him, and he's just dropping stages as he heads up into space. I mean, you are a rocket ship, Trey, right now. And so congratulations on your success. It's super exciting. But what's it feel like right now? How's the deal flow? What's happening in the market?
It's super exciting. In January, it was a bit slow. And then, of course, as that happens, everybody comes to you at once and is like, oh, I want to list, or I want to buy. So, over the next week and a half, we have 6 new listings coming to market. We have, I think we have 4 escrows right now. We just opened one yesterday. So the market, I think, is coming back, and it's going to be a really amazing spring market. I'm seeing a lot of new listings come to market that look fantastic. So I think that's going to really bring the buyers out. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think that we're going to have the best year we've ever had. With these 6 new listings, I mean, they're ranging anywhere from, 1-bedroom condos at $700,000 to, $28-30 million listings in true sales. So a big, huge, vast array of different styles and properties. So yeah, we're super excited.
Trey, are you seeing any, let me start off with this question. What are the clients saying to you that are wanting to list right now? Are they trading up, trading down? Are they getting out of the market? What are you seeing?
It's kind of all over the board. It's definitely, there's some that want to downsize, and there's a lot of them that have been in that 2.5-3% interest rate that they've just been hanging on for the last couple of years, thinking that interest rates are going to go back down to 3%, and they're just not. And they've come to terms with it, and now they're okay with selling their smaller home and trading up. And then there's just a lot of people that are coming to us like, oh, is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to sell? I mean, we're hearing so many mixed things and so many, and I think that the biggest thing that I can provide and tell them is that buyers these days are looking for turnkey. They want something that looks amazing. They don't want to go in. They don't want to paint. They don't want to lift a finger. They want to walk in, unpack their bags, and live there and not disrupt their life in any way possible. And those are the properties that are really moving and selling and still getting the multiple offers and those kind of things. So, it's every listing that we go after and we approach. For me, the approach is more of like a brand launch with each of them. They have to have a story. Like, what is a story with this property? What are we going to be able to, how are we going to emotionally present this property to somebody online where it's going to cause an emotional response for them to actually come and see the property? And that starts from, all the presentation, the marketing materials, the photographs, of video, all of those kind of things. If we're not telling a story about this property, then, I think that you're doing a disservice to your client, because anybody can just go take some photos and, put them on the MLS. But you really have to curate this property, and each one is very specific. It's not every listing has to have your full attention of how you're going to present this to the best possible way to the world and get that property sold. So
I love that.
Be creative.
You mentioned, huh?
You got to really think outside the box of the market.
Right. Got to find the angle. I know we're going to get on that in a second, but I want to talk a little bit about preparing the property for sale, because I agree with you on that. I think, any deferred maintenance, maybe issues that need to get fixed, and maybe even some remodeling and some, making it look a little more current. I mean, because what I'm noticing is, like, you'll have like the baby boomers out there right now, and maybe they've maintained their property perfectly for the last 20 years, but it's still 20 years old looking, right? It may be clean as a whistle, but it's not the colors and materials that anybody wants. I mean, how far do you push people to? Because if someone looks at that, they're going to go, "Oh, I got to put $1 million into this thing or something." You know what I mean? And they kind of panic, right? And they don't want to go through all that.
Yeah, earlier in my career, I didn't really push that very hard, because I was afraid as an agent, if I tell them they have to do all these things, and they're not going to want to list the property with me. And I think that I really held back quite a bit when I was, newer in the business. And now I just go for it. I walk through the house and I say, here's all the things that you should do. Do you have to do all of them? No, but they are all going to be noticed, and, just small little things like painting the room that's scuffed up, that's such an easy fix for you. Or the landscaping out front, so the curb appeal when somebody drives by and they haven't even seen the inside of the house, they're like, oh, that looks nice. Just little minor things that can be done. But now when I walk through, I go through everything and I point it all out. And I rarely ever will take a listing from this point on that's not staged, because if the listing is not staged, it's so hard for you to create that story. It's so hard for you to create that emotional response for somebody to come, because you're working, what you have to work with is not easy. And so I think really helping clients understand that, 7,000, 20,000. I mean, I just had one stage for 50,000. It's worth every dime, because that's how we're going to be able to capture the moments and the photography and the videography and all that kind of stuff to really make your property shine, where people are going to come see it and people are going to be able to imagine themselves in it. If you're not staging the property when somebody walks in and falls in love with it and asks you, how can I buy the furniture too? Then you're doing your client a disservice and you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. I think like a $50,000 investment could cost somebody $1 million if they don't do it right. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like we're seeing such huge price reductions for properties that aren't turnkey. Huge, huge. So the second question I wanted to ask you was, you said your clients, are asking you like, is this a good time to sell? Is this a good time to buy? I imagine they're asking because the Iranian wars, full, session, and gas prices are rising at the things. Like you said, interest rates will probably never hit 3% again. I don't think they're going to for a long time. They will, because history repeats, but, will we all be alive is the question. And then the, just everything going on in the world, it's just like day to day. It's like a news story. So how do you guide your clients through that? What do you tell them? Where do you find the opportunities in these different scenarios, situations? And if you were talking to me and I was thinking about selling my house, what would you say to me? Like, what if I just asked you straight out, should I sell my house straight, or should I wait a little bit and see if things calm down?
I think it's all on an individual basis. It depends on what you're trying to do and what you're doing after, if you do sell the house. I really typically, most of my clients, I tell them never to sell unless they absolutely have to. I know that's probably not the best thing I should be doing as a business, but I think that if you can hold on to that property and keep that property in your portfolio and then buy the other one without having to sell that one, please do that. And I'll help you. I'll get that one leased out for you, or we'll help you manage that process. But I think it's just it really depends on what the client wants to do, where they need to go. Do they have to sell in order to buy this one? Do they not have to sell? So it's really an individual basis, I think, when it comes down to that. But I think we're going to see a really, really good spring market, like I said earlier, for March, April, May. I think it's going to be very strong, and there's a lot of great listings that are coming out, and people are getting it, and they're staging their homes, and they look fantastic and amazing, and they're taking care of them, and all those little details that we talked about earlier. Those sellers get it, and they see where they need to be when somebody walks in to create that emotional response, to create an offer, to get that person to put pen to paper.
Yeah. Are you finding buyer demand pretty strong still?
Yeah, but they're very picky. That's the thing, is the buyer demand is there, but they are very picky. And that's where it comes down to those little tiny things when they walk in and you have scuffed up walls. For them, it's like, oh, maybe they're not taking care of their property or deferred maintenance. Like, oh, maybe they're not taking care of this pool. This pool looks, I don't know. It's probably, I'll pass. I'll find another one. You can't give yourself one more hurdle to jump over as a seller at this point.
Yeah. It's so funny because, we read all the articles about all the people leaving California, leaving LA. And you know what I say, Trey? I go, good, because we need room for all the people coming in. Because seriously, there's
everyone leaves, there's two more that come, that want to move here. California, yeah. Los Angeles is one of a kind. There's nothing like it. There'll always be people moving here. And, those people that want to leave, see you later. Make room for somebody else.
Yeah, but be sure you want to leave, because if you sell your house, you might get priced out on the way back because prices are going up. Trey, thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. I know you got 6 listings to launch. You've got a team to manage. You're an awesome guy. Thank you so much for being on The Core Truth. It's really a pleasure to have you. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, I'm sure they can find you at Douglas Elliman. And really, really fun chatting with you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for the opportunity.